few years ago, Congressman Francis Rooney, a businessman, found a way to give the customers what they wanted. He proposed a law where congressional pay would fall to $1 a year after a combined 12 years in either chamber. He has since become one of the only people to ever voluntarily quit Congress and joins us now. It's stunning. Whenever we do one of these term limit stories, people universally love the idea, and it will never happen.
Yeah, this situation shows two of the major dysfunctionalities of the way the House of Representatives functions. First of all, as you noted, we're used to satisfying customers. If 83% of your customers want something, you're going to figure out how to get it to them. And the other dysfunctionality is everybody talks about how great term limits are and wants to have their name on bills, which, as you pointed out, they know are never going anywhere because of the constitutional amendment rules. So that's why I came up with the idea, just, okay, cut their payoff.
All right, so when you came up with that idea, what happened?
Well, a lot of people were worried about it. They said, wow, what if that were to happen? I said, well, yeah, hope it does. That's what ought to happen. And then several people got on the bill, some mostly newer members that weren't too embedded yet. But by and large, there were some senior members, including a couple of very high Republican and Democrat leaders that were not very happy with it at all and made their opinions quite clear on the national media.
I think about this July 4th weekend, okay? This is when the framers are celebrated for the idea of America that they came up with. And you think about their genius and all the things and the checks and balances they thought of. They never thought of term limits and they never thought of age limits. Is that because they didn't believe in them or because they didn't have to?
It's because they never would have imagined that we would have a political class after fighting a revolution to get away from one.
All right, so what's the answer then?
Well, I think the answer is for the American people to continue to pound on their legislators and elected officials to do something positive about how long people serve and how old they are while they're there.
Yeah, there was a famous exchange with Ted Cruz about just that issue.
I think that Congress would work much better if every senator were limited to 2 terms, if every House member were limited to 3 terms. I've introduced a constitutional amendment to put that into the Constitution.
But you're still running.
And if and when it passes, I will happily comply. I've never said I'm going to unilaterally comply.
No, why would anybody in Washington ever want to be an example of what they think is right?
And he knows where it's going, which is nowhere.
Yeah, no, obviously it's going nowhere. And your bill, which would have done something, would have gone somewhere because it would have actually gotten real public support. Nobody wanted to. They wanted to kill it before it did. I think about how old everybody is in Congress, especially sort of the elder leadership class. Some people referred to Nancy Pelosi, how much money she and her husband have made off stock transactions during her time in the House. I'm curious because when you think about the way the framers thought of public service, you left your law office or you left your farm or you left your business and your dry goods store and you went to Washington to serve. And then you left Washington and you went back to your business after 4 or 8 years and you hoped that it was still in good shape, despite the fact that you've been gone for so long. It was a sacrifice and a risk. That's no longer the case. What's changed and why don't any of these people quit like you did?
Well, I think it's the best job that many of them will ever have. For a variety of reasons. Some like the publicity, some like the notoriety back home. Some of them, it's probably hard to say, the money. And
well, the staff, the prestige, all that stuff.
They probably never had a cook or a staffer. And so what went from a government run by real global leaders, Thomas Jefferson, Samuel Adams, et cetera, has devolved to a bunch of people for whom this is the best job they'll ever get. And most of them, the only experience they have is having served in a state legislature.
Yeah, and if it's the best job you're ever going to get and you know that, you don't want to give it up.
You cling like a barnacle to a piling.
Oh, boy. That's an image to end on. Good to see you, sir. Happy July 4th.
Happy July 4th.
Yes, sir. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.